Tobacco was the major cash crop in colonial Virginia, taking over 13 months to grow and cultivate. Other crops grown for profit were corn and wheat. Because of the importance of tobacco to the Virginian economy, over 95% of Virginians live in rural areas during the colonial times. They sold this crop to England, and it was very profitable for the rural middle class, called the middling sort. The middling sort owned around 100 acres and 5 to 10 slaves. Working these smaller plantations was labor intensive. When a farmer started making their plantation, he has to build all of the buildings needed for life on the farm. These buildings were made using manual labor, cutting up all the different size logs they might need. Here are some examples of how they cut the wood to make their buildings.
You don't move this log out of the woods so that you can make it smaller with an axe. You hew it, you just take your axe to the log and you do it there. So you're taking the bulk of the wood off with this axe. And then you come back along with a broad axe and you simply keep your feet out the way. Come right into the line that you snap. You see how broad the cutting surface is on this axe?
So it's a controlled split. I'm going to use the handle to steer the split through the wood. Y'all will have a better shot at this than you all will. The good thing is if I mess up, y'all ain't going to see it. Anyway, so press down on the handle, and the way the split goes through the wood, if it runs off to one side, I'll steer the split back to the center of the wood. Like how it's doing now. Y'all can see that split is over on this side a little bit more. I'm going to flip it over and press down and bring that split back down. Okay.
It's called the tiller. The bottom handle is called the box. The box is removable. You can take it off and you can saw many different pieces out of one piece of large timber without having to move the tree.
Many different types of buildings were needed on the plantation. This is a corn crib. Notice how it is built off the ground and with air holes to keep the corn dry and from rotting. A smokehouse was used to smoke the meat on the farm for the farm family and slaves. This building needed much tighter insulation to keep the meat from going bad. Here, the hog meat could stay for over a year and still be edible. Another important building was the kitchen. The plantation owners wanted a separate kitchen from the main farmhouse due to the heat and smells of the kitchen. They of course cooked their meals over open flames in the kitchen fireplace. A separate building would be built for the slave quarters. This would be a smaller structure than the main farmhouse. The slaves would have a mat on the floor, or for older slaves, the mat was built off the ground to sleep on. The hole under the bed is where the slaves would keep their prized possessions, anything of value to them. They would also have a place in their quarters to cook their rations of food. The barn was essential to the farmer and was used for storage. They would also hang the tobacco from the rafters to dry before taking it to sell. One building that is absent from this mock plantation is the main farmhouse. It would be used for the plantation owner and his family. This mock plantation has not built their farmhouse yet. Another important part of this farm was the family garden. This is where The farmer would grow food for his family and slaves to eat. Farmers also tended cattle, pigs, sheep, goats, and a few oxen.